In this bite, we're going to ask Coach Raymond a frequent question for beginning carnivores. Coach Raymond, how much should I eat?
Oh, great question. How much should you eat? So, in the one of the problems going from especially beginning carnivores when they first start is their appetite's not really sure what being full is. So we always say, eat until you're full, but a lot of people don't even understand that. So I started using this new comment, eat until you're stuffed. And I'll even add in, eat every meal until your Thanksgiving stuffed. You eat so much in that one meal that eventually you keep doing that. You'll start noticing if you were eating 3 times a day, you'll start noticing that you'll go down to 2 times a day. And then eventually 2 times a day becomes a chore. But the idea is to stuff yourself as much as possible until you feel much less hunger, where you're not hungry for anything. This helps with cravings. This helps with not energy levels. So this helps a gamut of things if you take feasting correctly. So a lot of people talk about fasting, but really I think we missed a point and we should be talking about feasting. Once you feast for correctly, fasting just happens naturally.
Wow, interesting. Why do you think it's because some kind of healing is going on? Why do you think that your appetite diminishes over time?
Great question. So first of all, your body is more than likely deficient, and in certain things, mainly fat. I think that's what it really tries to collect. So if you want to think up of like a backup battery reserve or a backup of a backup battery reserve, think of that. So what happens is that the body has this backup of a backup, and it doesn't like leaving that one empty or even near empty. It likes to put it at full, and it takes a while for that reserve to go down. So what you're doing when you're shoveling in as much as possible for, typically you'll notice that if you do that for 2 weeks and you're diligent at it, you'll start noticing, actually within the first week, you'll start noticing how much less hungry you are and how less often you'll eat. What happens is that those reserves start filling up, and then you just content. You don't even think about food. And that's where you want to be at. Now, eventually, if you start fasting often, those reserves get depleted. And then obviously you'd have to refill that tank and then go back into, longer term eating. So when I say fasting, I just mean the time between your foods. So I'm not talking about several 5 days fasting, anything like that.
Okay. So at the beginning, if I should eat till I'm totally stuffed, and then I should just eat whenever I feel hungry, like not try to specifically space it out then, right?
That's right. That's right. You don't do that naturally. You just go follow your hunger cues. The other thing, believe it or not, that will actually heal is eating disorders. I know that sounds strange, but when you're eating to your stuff, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm a binge eater." Oh, good. Eat to your stuff then. There are some people with image problems, so they always undereat, even though if they don't want to. They just do that. Eat until you're stuffed. Eat until you just like you cannot possibly take another bite. And even then, I even tell people, look, if you're eating twice a day, you have 15 minutes to eat. If you finish within the first 5 minutes, eat again in 10 minutes later if you wanted to. So go ahead and just stuff yourself till you're full. And then you'll notice you have these long periods of times you don't have to eat. And the reason that heals eating disorder is because you never think about food anymore. It becomes a non-event. So you stop worrying a little bit about body image is a little different. You'll always be concerned about body image, but once you trust yourself enough to eat like that, once you start trusting your body, your mind starts making that connection that this is a good thing. So eventually you'll heal that body image idea also. And typically, you would think that you would get fat, but honestly, you don't, because your hormones are so satiated, you just don't eat for a long period of time. So you're not going to be able to get fat on this unless there is the unless. So there is a practice you can do to really overcome the times you're not hungry and you're just stuffing yourself all the time. So, but that's really hard to do on a carnivore diet. It takes
Mm.
practice.
That's so true. That's exactly what happened to me at the beginning. I just ate as much as I wanted whenever, no matter what time, even if it was at like 3 in the morning and I woke up
Yeah.
hungry, I would eat. And I think I did do that kind of feasting for well over a year, maybe even a year and a half. And then I put on probably about, I don't know, 8 pounds. And then after I finally felt like my body was like, you're good, you're fine. And then gradually my hunger tapered down. And then now I'm like back to like college weight. So I lost like 8 pounds, the 8 pounds. And so you're right, it absolutely happened naturally. And I never really felt like I had to restrict. So,
Yeah.
and it did heal my disordered eating, as you say. So
The
great.
hardest part is convincing yourself that by eating this much is not going to get you fat. It's not. Just do it as an experiment. Be curious. Hey, what happens if I just stuff myself? I don't care how fat you are. I don't care if you're 400 pounds. Stuff yourself, and then that will actually get you successful in the carnivore diet.
All right. Well, that's good news. Great coaching. Thank you for this bite, Coach Raymond.
Thank you, Janice.